Shadows of Remorse. The 3rd of January, 2024. I never intended to become a murderer. At least, that's what I tell myself each night as I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, haunted by the events that transpired. My name is Daniel Kingsley, and what you are about to hear is the story of how I became the man I never thought I would be. It all started in the picturesque town of Greenfield, a place where everyone knew everyone else, where the air was filled with the scent of blooming flowers and freshly baked bread. It was a town that prided itself on its tight-knit community, its safety, and its tranquility. But beneath the surface of every serene town lies a darkness waiting to be uncovered. The 5th of January, 2024. My wife, Julia, and I moved to Greenfield 2 years ago, seeking a peaceful life away from the hustle and bustle of the city. We bought a charming old house on Elm Street, a 2-story Victorian with a wraparound porch and a garden that Julia adored. She spent countless hours tending to her roses, her hands stained with soil, her face lit up with happiness. I worked as an accountant for a small firm in town. It was a mundane job, but it paid well enough to support us. Our life was simple, but it was good. Or so I thought. The 10th of January, 2024. It was on a chilly January morning that I first noticed the cracks in our seemingly perfect life. Julia had been distant, preoccupied with something she wouldn't share with me. She spent more time in the garden, less time talking to me. I could feel her slipping away, but I didn't know why. One night, after a particularly silent dinner, I decided to confront her. Julia, is something wrong? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. You've been so distant lately. Is there something you need to tell me? She looked at me with sad eyes that had once been filled with love and warmth. Daniel, I don't know how to say this, she began, her voice trembling. I've been seeing someone else. I'm so sorry. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. I felt a mix of anger, betrayal, and heartbreak. Who is it? I demanded, my voice rising. Who are you seeing? It's Thomas, she replied, barely above a whisper. Thomas Granger. Thomas Granger, our neighbor, the man who lived just a few houses down the street, a man I had considered a friend. The 15th of January, 2024. The days that followed were a blur of emotions. I was consumed by anger and jealousy. I couldn't understand how Julia could betray me like that. I spent hours pacing the house, my mind racing with thoughts of revenge. One night, as I lay awake, a plan began to form in my mind. A plan to make Thomas pay for what he had done. I knew it was wrong, but the darkness had taken hold of me, and I couldn't let it go. The 20th of January, 2024. I began to watch Thomas, to learn his routines. He was a creature of habit, always leaving the house at the same time each morning, always returning at the same time each evening. I followed him to work, to the gym, to the grocery store. I learned everything I could about him. I also began to prepare. I bought gloves, a knife, and a dark hoodie to conceal my identity. I knew I had to be careful, to leave no traces behind. I spent hours in the basement, practicing with the knife, honing my skills. The 3rd of February, 2024. The night I chose to act was a cold, moonless night. I knew Thomas would be at the gym late, and I waited for him in the parking lot. My heart was pounding, my hands trembling, but I couldn't back down now. When he finally emerged from the gym, I followed him to his car. As he unlocked the door, I sprang into action, plunging the knife into his side. He gasped, his eyes wide with shock and pain. I pulled the knife out and stabbed him again and again, until he collapsed to the ground. I stood over him, my breath coming in ragged gasps. I felt a strange mix of satisfaction and horror at what I had done. I quickly wiped the knife clean and left the scene, making sure no one saw me. The 4th of February, 2024. The next morning, the town was in an uproar. Thomas Granger had been found dead in the gym parking lot, and the police were investigating. I watched from the sidelines, trying to act shocked and concerned like everyone else. Julia was devastated. She didn't know what to think. I comforted her, telling her that we would get through this together. But inside, I felt a growing sense of guilt and fear. What if they found out it was me? What if they discovered the truth? The 10th of February, 2024. The police questioned everyone in the neighborhood, including me. I played my part well, acting the concerned neighbor, the loving husband. I told them I had no idea who could have done such a thing, that Thomas had been a good man. But the guilt was eating away at me. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. I was haunted by the image of Thomas's lifeless body, by the sound of his dying breaths. I tried to push the thoughts away, but they kept coming back, stronger and more relentless. The 15th of February, 2024. It was during one of those sleepless nights that I decided to write a confession. I don't know if it will ever see the light of day, but I need to get it out, to tell someone what I have done. Maybe it will help ease the burden, or maybe it will only make it worse. But I have to try. The 20th of February, 2024. As the days turned into weeks, the investigation continued. The police were thorough, but they had no leads, no suspects. I felt a strange sense of relief, knowing that I had covered my tracks well, but the guilt still gnawed at me, a constant reminder of what I had done. Julia and I grew closer during this time, bonded by our shared grief and fear. She had no idea that I was the one responsible for Thomas's death, and I hoped she would never find out. But I knew I couldn't keep this secret forever. The 3rd of March, 2024. It was on a rainy March evening that the police came to our door. Detective Harris, a tall, stern-faced man, asked to speak with me. My heart pounded as I led him into the living room, trying to keep my composure. Mr. Kingsley, we've been investigating Thomas Granger's murder, and we have some questions for you, he began, his eyes piercing into mine. We understand that you and Mr. Granger were neighbors and that your wife had been seeing him. Is that correct? I nodded, my throat dry. Yes, that's correct. Julia and Thomas had been involved, but I didn't have anything to do with his death. Detective Harris studied me for a moment, then continued. We found something at the scene that we believe may be connected to the killer. A glove, with traces of blood on it. We're running tests to see if we can identify the owner. I felt a cold sweat break out on my forehead. I had been careful, but had I been careful enough? I tried to keep my voice steady. I hope you find whoever did this. Thomas didn't deserve to die like that. The 10th of March, 2024. The days that followed were agonizing. I lived in constant fear that the police would discover the truth, that they would connect the glove to me. I barely slept, my mind racing with thoughts of escape, of what I would do if I were caught. Julia noticed my agitation and tried to comfort me, but I could see the worry in her eyes. She was starting to suspect that something was wrong, that I was hiding something from her. The 15th of March, 2024. One evening, as we sat in the living room, Julia turned to me, her eyes filled with concern. Daniel, is there something you're not telling me? You've been so distant, so troubled. Please, talk to me. I wanted to tell her everything, to unburden myself of the terrible secret I had been carrying, but I couldn't. The fear of losing her, of being exposed, was too great. I'm just stressed. Julia, I lied. The police investigation, everything that's happened, it's been hard on me. She nodded, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. I knew that I couldn't keep this up forever, that the truth would eventually come out. The 20th of March, 2024. It was on a sunny spring afternoon that the police returned. This time, they had a warrant. They searched our house, looking for any evidence that could link me to Thomas's murder. I watched in silence, my heart pounding, as they went through my belongings. They found the knife hidden in the basement, the one I had used to kill Thomas. I had cleaned it thoroughly, but they still took it as evidence. Detective Harris looked at me with a knowing expression. Mr. Kingsley, we need you to come down to the station for further questioning. I felt a sinking feeling in my stomach. They were getting closer, and I knew it was only a matter of time before they discovered the truth. The 25th of March, 2024. At the police station, they questioned me.
Share your thoughts below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and you can check out more videos like these right now.